This is the story of Mark and Jacqueline, a happy and young couple in their 30s who loved nothing more than being surrounded by nature's wonders. They spent their days exploring forests and enjoying the peace of the outdoors. But one day, something terrible happened. While Jacqueline was collecting wood for their fire, a hungry black bear attacked her out of nowhere. How did this happen to them? What went wrong on their peaceful day in the woods? Watch till the end as we reveal their story and uncover the mysteries of that tragic day. This is the terrifying bear attack on Jacqueline Perry and Mark Jordan. Mark Jordan and Jacqueline Perry, both 30 years old, grew up in Cambridge, a city in the regional municipality of Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and were well versed in modern life and its demands. They had been married for nearly 4 years, and they were excited about their upcoming 4th wedding anniversary. In fact, both Mark and Jacqueline held important positions. He was a software engineer, and she was a physician. They were both very active people who enjoyed outdoor activities, so finding the ideal location to celebrate their anniversary was probably not difficult for the two of them. For their anniversary, they chose to camp for 2 weeks in Lake Missinaibi Provincial Park, a vast park in northern Ontario. This vast 100,000-hectare park provides an excellent outdoor experience, including canoeing, backpacking, boating, fishing, and camping. This vast area covers 90% of Ontario, but only 6% of the population lives there. With over 100 campsites, many of which can only be reached by boat, campers are truly isolated. This region is dominated by boreal forest and is known for its remote and rugged backcountry, which can be dangerous for even seasoned travelers. Missinaibi Provincial Park offers a perfect escape from modern life, with its lakes, waterfalls, and whitewater ideal for kayaking. Located in the Chapaleau Crown Game Preserve, this park is teeming with wildlife and has numerous campsites and canoe sites. The couple chose a remote backcountry campsite on Missinaibi Lake. It was the ideal location for nature lovers like them. They went hiking frequently and relied on their skills to survive in the wilderness, especially given Mark's experience as a scout leader. They drove north to the park and paddled their kayaks to the campground. Until September 6, 2005, their journey had been peaceful and filled with the joy of being in nature. They liked the fresh air and the physical activity of paddling. Their happiness, however, quickly turned into a nightmare of pain, desperation, and hopelessness. September 6, 2005 began like any other day at the campsite. Later that afternoon, however, disaster struck, resulting in a gruesome fight for survival. Everything seemed, looked, and sounded normal until it wasn't. Everything happened so quickly that there wasn't enough time to react properly. As Jacqueline was gathering the wood in her arms, she heard a distinct snap of a twig. She stopped and looked around, but saw nothing. She called out to Mark, who confirmed his presence by the fire. Jacqueline continued to collect wood among the trees despite the fact that she saw nothing. She returned the armful to the fire and went back for more. When Jacqueline returned to the same spot and bent down to pick up more wood, she was knocked to the ground. A black bear appeared unexpectedly at their campsite, and as if seeing a bear up close and personal wasn't enough, the animal did not appear to be simply aggressive. No, the bear appeared to be a predator. There was no doubt that the bear intended to kill. It struck with lightning speed. The bear leapt, pinning Jacqueline to the ground. The creature did not waste any time. It grabbed the woman and began to drag her into the bush. To Mark, it felt like time stopped. His wife Jacqueline was in danger, being dragged away by a big bear. Mark knew he had to act fast. He remembered that bears get scared if you act tough. So without thinking, he fought the bear to save Jacqueline. He pulled out his Swiss Army knife and jumped on the bear as it started dragging Jacqueline into the woods. Mark wrapped his arms around the bear's neck and stabbed it repeatedly with the small blade. The bear thrashed wildly, throwing Mark to the ground. The attack was so sudden and fierce that it left the couple completely shocked. The bear's size and strength were overwhelming. It barely reacted to Mark's knife. Focused on Jacqueline, the bear continued its attack, grabbing her again. Mark got up and attacked the bear once more, punching its muzzle and stabbing its neck repeatedly. Finally, the bear released Jacqueline and ran into the woods. Mark watched as the bear disappeared over the fallen branches. Jacqueline was still on the ground, seriously injured. She needed help, but the campsite was too remote for rescuers to arrive that quickly. She was heavily bleeding. Mark had to get somewhere safe. He picked Jacqueline up in his arms and started running towards the kayak. Jacqueline's cries weakened, her breath labored, and she closed her eyes. Mark urged her not to give up, shouting for her to stay awake as he searched desperately for help along the shoreline. Badly wounded himself, Mark paddled for almost a mile, crying for help. Then someone heard him. Two hikers, a father and son from Pennsylvania, heard Mark's screams and rushed to his aid. Less than an hour before Mark's cries, they had fought off a black bear together. The three men paddled for an additional 90 minutes before coming across a pontoon boat carrying an off-duty police officer and a doctor from North Carolina. It was a miracle. The doctor attempted to save Jacqueline Perry while the boat continued to the park office, which was about 6 miles away. Mark stood by his wife's side, hoping and praying she would survive the horrific injuries. However, despite her husband's heroic efforts, Jacqueline Perry died before they could reach the boat office. Mark Jordan was transported to Sudbury Regional Hospital 3 hours after the attack occurred. His condition was stable, but he had several lacerations, puncture wounds, and severed nerves. Before operating, doctors had to ensure that there was no risk of infection. He received 300 stitches and was pumped full of antibiotics to stave off infection. He slowly recovered in the hospital. His injuries were fixed, but his heart was broken. His heroic efforts were rewarded with a Medal of Bravery, but Mark didn't feel brave. He felt like he could have done more. Meanwhile, police and park rangers began their search for the bear and other campers. Staff didn't know how many people they were looking for because visitors weren't required to notify park officials when they entered the area. After some time, officials immediately closed off the interior section of the park where the attack had taken place. Bear experts who were asked to comment on the tragic events stated that the bear was not only aggressive, but also predatory. It had detected Jacqueline and Mark from a distance and zeroed in on their location. The bear stalked Jacqueline after noticing her alone in the woods. It had remained hidden and silent until the right moment when it struck. Despite their usual docile nature, black bears can become aggressive if they feel threatened, especially if surprised or if their cubs are nearby. While attacks on humans are rare, they can occur, particularly when a bear is hungry, injured, or defending its territory. In the Ontario region, black bear attacks are quite rare. From 1978 up to now, there have been only 4 recorded instances when someone was killed by a black bear. Jacqueline's encounter with a black bear was unfortunate. Officials later tracked down and killed the bear responsible for her attack. This particular bear was a young thin male, likely driven by hunger, to prey upon Mark and Jacqueline. When bears are malnourished, they can become especially dangerous, sometimes resorting to attacking people in desperation for food. Jacqueline's presence in the area wasn't intentional provocation. She was simply gathering wood for a fire. Unfortunately, she found herself in the wrong place at the wrong time. The bear's assault left her with little recourse but to endure her tragic fate. In encounters with black bears, it's important to remain calm and avoid sudden movements. If a black bear approaches, it's recommended to speak calmly and back away slowly, giving the bear plenty of space to retreat. In the unlikely event of an attack, fighting back aggressively may deter the bear. Thank you for watching. If you want to know more shocking animal attacks, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button for more terrifying stories. Until next time, stay safe.